and that should be okay. So let me talk about blogs just in general and how we should be doing them in the first place. So I'll just come down here to Drive, and this is just like, let me not even go to Drive necessarily. Let me just use a normal doc, because most of the time you guys will be writing your blogs for wherever you want to write them from. And then I'm going to explain some of the core things that you should think about when you're working on your blog. So the first thing when you think about a blog is a blog title. And when you think about blog title, you already have a breakdown of the topics you want to kind of drop out on this particular blog. Chris, could you give me one of the blog titles you're working on? Just one of the ideas.
One is okay. The complete data governance checklist.
Okay, so the complete data governance checklist. So complete data governance checklist. Okay, so off the boat over here, could you just break down to me, like, what are some of the things you'll talk about here? If I was to drop down pointers, what will be some of the things that would go down to this blog?
Okay, so first off is just the introduction bit and more of what's data governance and the background to it, which relates to how industries are moving and what's pushing, what are the elements that are pushing the need for tighter data governance regimes.
Yeah,
that's more of the introduction part. And then the other one is more of the focus areas to data governance. Here I'll more be explaining which areas does it touch on, from personnel training to the data itself, to compliance and data life cycle and ownership and all that.
So this is the actual checklist, right?
No. That's more of an explanation or the focus areas that data governance touches on. Then I'm going to directly to the checklist.
Okay, so let me call it the pillars of data governance, something of that sort. Yeah.
Yes, something of that.
Yeah.
But okay, I've actually worked on the blog, so let me just refer. But before I talk about the checklist, I wanted to bring out the aspect of the challenges that make setting up a mature data governance regime a bit hard for organizations. Before I bring out that aspect of now, what are the steps they need to take?
Okay.
I
also would think, I don't know whether you talk about why it is important. I know you talk about the intro, the pillars of data governance, and then the challenges. I think before you come down to the challenges, is there a point where you mention like the importance of data governance?
I've actually mentioned it in the checklist because okay, it has fitted better there. But you'll actually review everything, okay. So no problem.
Not a big problem. So after the challenges, you say this is whereby we get the checklist, right? How many steps are on the checklist?
10.
Let me just call the title 10-step data governance checklist. Okay. That's fine. Or let me just call it the data governance checklist, something of that sort. I think we're good with that. Is there anything else I'm missing out? I'm guessing you have a conclusion part.
Yeah, conclusion and next steps, really.
Okay.
The final page.
Conclusion and next steps. That's fine. Okay, so on a typical blog, I think this is well broken down. I already know that a significant aspect of your blog will rest here. This will be the big chunk of the blog, and the other ones will be more introductory. Just correct me if I'm wrong.
That's more right, like it.
Awesome. So we can go ahead and model the title off of the primary content point that people are seeking from this blog in the first place, which is that particular checklist. So let me just go through some of the basics. And these are not necessarily on the content marketing guidelines that we should all be familiar with. When it comes down to SEO, the heading titles matter a lot. And I'm going to say they matter a lot because Google does not want you to come and have the blog title will always be your heading 1. You should not come and follow your heading 1 with a heading 3. like that chronology of headings does matter, just in case of readability and scrollability by the sort of Google crawlers that you're talking about here, or web crawlers, because not only Google, even DuckDuckGo will do the same thing. So whenever we have the blog title, this is always heading one. When you're writing your blog, even here, and you can see here, even my title is heading one, I'll be able to see the secondary topics should always take that sort of heading two. Yeah, so those sort of secondary topics should always take a heading too. And this should be something you do whether you're using Google Docs, whether you're using Microsoft Word, or whether you're using Dropbox Paper. I actually prefer Dropbox Paper, and I'll show you why. Just in terms of the additions you can have to your blog and how they can easily be converted to Markdown, and also how they can fit on any blogging platform. They support pretty much all the features you could think of. But I just want to go simple on this. And then after that, you can come in and add your paragraph element. There's no big problem. And within paragraph elements, you can go ahead and add in heading threes. Now, I don't want to spoil the structure of the blog here, but I know where Chris will be adding the heading three in particular, and that will be in the data governance checklist. Just give me the first 3 points of your checklist, Chris, just to be precise.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So the first one is, the first one is defining path to operationalization, sorry. Okay, it's quite a long one, but
let me just take the short version. It's fine. It's just a dummy one. Don't worry about the actual content. Then the second would be
performing a readiness assessment. Mm-hmm. Should I give you the third one?
Yeah, just the third one.
Okay. Assess regulatory requirements and compliance.
Let me call it assess regulations. Okay, so let me imagine Chris was writing this blog, and we've started out pretty well. That introduction to data governance, we can give that, and then there was paragraph 1 there, and then there was paragraph 2 there, and then we went ahead and talked about a couple of challenges. So there was paragraph 3, but then the challenges he was able to break down into a list, and then he was able to also write challenge 1, challenge 2. This separation makes your blog easier to read, something of that sort. And then we actually got to the data governance checklist. And then in this checklist, one, this will definitely be numbers because they're actually a checklist. It's very, very essential. But then they'll be numbered, but they'll be heading 3, which is the second layer to this. And there's a reason why I'm numbering my headings. And the reason why we're trying to number our headings is it gives us a high chance of appearing in the Google snippet. And I'll get down to this very, very fast. And then I'm guessing Chris will have a conclusion and next step. And the conclusion next step is just telling them, kind of recapping what you've been able to cover, and then giving people an idea of where they can get additional content on data governance, which is how you should be doing all your blogs. You also want to add those backlinks. Okay, so this is good. And even in the case of Chris's blog, you can actually have a part 1, part 2, part 3. So when you're going to conclusion and next steps, you can tell them, you can read about the second part of this blog. If you guys have seen those blogs that have a part 1, part 2, part 3, but you don't always have to have part 1, part 2. You can always just go ahead and say, if you want additional learning, here's some additional resources for you to do. It does not have to be a full list of resources. It could just be, let's say there's a report here, let's say there's a book here, let's say there's another blog that also explains it in the same way. And when you're able to link to other blogs, it also increases the credibility of your blog. It's because you're not living in an echo chamber of your own opinions. Okay, now let's talk about the SEO layer of this blog in the first place. So before Chris actually gets down, he has an idea of the contents that are going to go on this blog. But this will not be the final contents, because when I do my SEO search, I might realize that how top performing content is structured in a very different way. So a good example here is if I looked for a blog of how to cook. Yeah, and this is a very simple blog. All of a sudden I see that the top performing content on how to cook are actually videos. So when I'm doing my blog, I should actually have an inclination to have an embedded video in my blog, or actually do a video in the first place and then embed in my blog. That's just the core thing here. But let me ignore the videos aspect. You're still writing a blog. The top performing articles are not how to cook like the recipe, that they're actually a cornerstone content on recipes. So you can see one of the top performing content is content that's listing out a huge number of recipes. So if I want to write something about how to cook, then essentially in my blog, if I don't mention a list of recipes, you don't have to be the one writing these recipes. You can link to other recipes. Your blog is not likely to compete because Google has that sort of inclination to rank let's say, list of recipes better than people who are just saying how to cook, like open the stove and all that kind of stuff. So that's a key consideration you should make. And a good example is when I search something like data science. Let me search something like data science, and I'm writing a blog about, let's say, how to learn data science. Okay, so data science is this is a bit general. So something like how to learn data science. It's going to correct it for me, I hope. Okay, so all these are ads, so ignore the ads. How to become a data scientist. And then you can see that the first thing that sticks out to me here is people are optimizing for snippet content. Yeah. So how to become a data scientist. This blog is a list of the steps you need to take to become a data scientist. So if I'm writing a blog about how to become a data scientist, I already get an anchorage that top performing blogs are trying to optimize for this snippet, and the best way to optimize for this snippet is to make sure my blog talks about the list or the steps of becoming a data scientist. What is data science is still working through, or you can go for this long form content that covers different aspects of data science. So what is data science? They are talking about life cycle applications prerequisite. So top performing content when I talk about data science is content that's able to cover the full scope of data science in the first place. And let me jump onto this blog. It's performing well on not just data science, but actually how to learn data science. And you can see it is long form content. They're talking about a lot of different aspects of data science. What is data science, right? They give that sort of thing. What's the difference between some of these different things? How is it transforming business? How is it being conducted? Tools for data science. So for me to rank well in this topic, I need to talk about the full scope of data science without necessarily just boiling down to come in and just say this is what data science is and then leaving it as 250 words explaining what data science is. People who are ranking well are talking about pretty much the entire scope of data science in the first place. So top performing content is long form content. It does not necessarily have to be steps content, but then if I want to optimize for this Google snippet, which is usually easy to rank for, and I'm giving you guys that sort of idea, it's easier to rank on a snippet because most of the people who are ranking on this snippet are not usually the best sort of blogs on that front. The best blogs on this front was the Oracle blog, the Simply Learn blog. And you can see on the actual listing, these people are nowhere to be seen. But the only reason they're being seen at the top is because they optimized for a snippet. So they took in space that allowed them to beat the ranking. And that's something you should always think about. So whether you're doing a cooking blog, recipes are able to beat the ranking because there's a snippet for recipes. If you're doing a blog that has steps or lists like the Chris one, the steps is a way for you to bypass the ranking and kind of compete with lesser blogs because you're competing for this one spot at the top. At times, Google can even drop in a double snippet. You never know what happens on this world of Google in the first place. And you can also see the step-by-step is still working well. With Analytics Vidia, I just don't think they optimize for the list, probably because their headings are not titles. The sort of steps are not numbered titles, and that's a big problem on that front. So I just want you guys to keep in mind when you're trying to rank for Google, is you'll only rank when your content takes the same anchorage as some of the top performing content, and it gives you an idea of what are users really looking for. This top performing content is top performing for a reason. It's because it's answering the expectation of the users, and because it's answering the expectation of the users, Google is likely to rank it better. So if your blog is also able to take ideas from it and answer expectation of the users, which in this case users are looking for long form content, then when you publish it, you have a higher chance of ranking. Why is this important? This is important because we're not only publishing our blog on the Chaptr website. I think with the Chaptr website, it will take a long while to kind of get listed here as you're trying to build a domain authority by kind of being listed on different PRs. It's going to be there somewhere at the end of the day, but you're optimizing for local SEO. But this could actually work for your medium blogs, the one that you submit to towards data science, the ones that you submit to Hackernoon. They're highly likely to rank. And I'm saying this because I've had content ranking on the first page before on Hackernoon. And because we are double listing our blogs, I don't want you guys to miss out on the chance for this traffic. Just by being on this top page, you'll be getting 10,000 views daily on your blog, which is a big boost in terms of the sort of value your blog speaks to people, and also the number of conversions that your blog can bring down at the end of the day. Okay, so that's the first layer of research. You want to research the content in that space and see what angle are they taking, and make sure that you're not copying the angle, but you're putting into consideration why that content was top performing. All these contents all these blogs are different in their own way, but the one thing that's not so different about them is all of them are long form content. So people are looking to learn a lot about the entire scope. So while I'm writing my blog, I want to write more about that entire scope. Now let me bring it down to Chris's blog, which is data governance checklist. And then I want to see what's there. I'm definitely sure there's an opportunity here. One, there's a snippet opportunity. This person is doing very well because of the steps, and they're actually doing the steps better because their titles actually have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It's making it even easier for Google to choose this article as the article for that sort of snippet in the first place. So already Chris can get an idea that being part of that snippet will give him an edge. Second idea I can get off of this sort of highly ranking blogs, off of it is when I put numbers on my title, there's a chance of me appearing here better. And we are seeing that with one, the step checklist that has taken use of the snippet. We're also seeing here, this is module 12 or something of that sort. The numbers thing I think might have been deprecated by Google. I'm not so sure about it. Just pardon me on that one. I thought this was talking about like 12 steps or something of that sort. But when you talk about numbers, I think statistically, when you read about SEO blogs, adding a number, and usually most of the time an odd number, increases your chances of ranking. I don't know how. We don't know what goes down behind that algorithm. But talking about a checklist, having the number of steps in that checklist on your title does increase that probability. This has been done by SEO experts. So if you read blogs from Backlinko and the likes, those are some of the tips they give you. So just keep that in mind. But most of the time, they always optimize you for snippets. Second thing is I'll come down here and jump on data governance checklist by Tilium, one of the top performing blogs. And then let me see what they're able to do over here. And I don't like the blog generally, but you guys can see why they're performing. It's the steps, how they're talking about the steps. And it's a very short blog, but I think the steps thing is what was able to grow them. I think these are people who took use of the snippet. Let me take someone who does not appear on the snippet. So why does student privacy.ed, why is it performing so well? Why is this blog performing so well? Okay, so let me just see it. Protecting student privacy. One, it's taken a very huge focus, which is not what you're taking, Chris. So we don't have to look through it so much. And I see this is actually a report. So we're not going to try compete with reports. I should have seen that PDF thing. But let me see information governance checklist, data governance checklist. You'll see this. Let me look at this intersector one. I also like the next blog here that works pretty well. I hope I'm still with you guys. I know my internet is slightly slow even on the blogs. Okay, so in Chris's side, you guys can hear me, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think what I can deduce from the content you're writing, Chris, is people are actually reading reports, right? The intersector one is a report thing. I want to avoid this module one. The Deloitte one is also a report that's a PDF as well. This one here, data governance checklist, is also a PDF. And what I can advise you is after writing that blog, we can compile it into a PDF report and publish it out there as well, right? Just more of like have it as a report, a PDF document that's able to detail the steps, and then also link out to other people, is because the people reading more about governance checklists are taking more of a scholastic approach to this, as compared to most other topics. So by just going through some of the content here, you're able to deduce what are some of the things people are jumping for. I'm not saying don't write the blog. I'm just saying that having that PDF as an extra layer could actually help. Linking to some of these PDFs might actually increase the credibility of that as well. So you should take a scholastic approach to the blog a bit, because people are reading more of reports here. And then we can also try compile your blog into a PDF report that we can make downloadable as well on the website, which should also improve our chances here. But we'll still do it as a blog, and because at the end of the day, Medium or Hacker Noon is still going to be blog version. I just want you guys to understand what you're looking at as we're doing all that. Second layer is now the SEO keyword. What should be your title? One, we definitely want to add the number of steps, but that's not what the SEO is concerned about. On my Google search, you guys will see I have this sort of attachment, which I don't expect you guys to have. You shouldn't go straight up at it. It's because I'm always thinking about SEO of our website. So that's why this makes it easy for me, not only our website, but also other websites I've done. And that's why you can see here. And from my tool, we can already see that off of the related keywords, the long tail keywords are working. People are looking for data governance checklist PDF. So people are still looking for those reports still. But then I don't want to focus on the PDF thing. Here are some of the core words being used: data governance audit checklist, data governance best practices. So audit is coming up again. Audit is coming up again. So I know, Chris, you're not talking about the audit, but checklist is one of the huge words over here. This tool is able to give me more focused data on that data governance scope. However, for you guys, all I want you guys to come check is whenever you go down to Google, the best way to find the title of your blog is to come down to related searches and look at what are people searching based on the search term that you put over there. What are some of the common related search terms that people are dropping in? And you can see why my tool really helps. It's because it's able to centralize them very easily for me and give me additional data on this. But you guys can already see people want a data governance questionnaire, data management checklist, data governance audit checklist. So actually, Chris, it gives you an idea. Can you take an audit angle to your data governance checklist? That's one thing, because that's exactly what people are asking for. But how do we get the keywords? Off of the best related searches, the two words that definitely need to be on my title are: one, data governance. Second thing is, because I'm working on a checklist, I can see two of them already have a checklist. So I already have something like data governance checklist. And then after that, I can ask myself, do I want to talk about best practices? Do I want to talk about the audit aspect? Do I want to talk about the roadmap? Those give you an idea. It's because you always want to cover some of the keywords here, and you're not trying to overburden keywords onto your title. You're just trying to look for what are some of the common related searches off of here. What sort of keywords can I get off of the sort of titles over here that are related to the content of my blog? So I wouldn't tell you add audit to your blog title if you're not talking about like the data governance audit sort of checklist. No. If you're just talking about data governance from beginning to end, right, and not just necessarily the audit aspect, I'm not telling you to force audit over there. But take the relevant ones that you get from the related searches. Now, there's a lot of places to get these related searches. This is the easiest one. The second one would be YouTube. So let's come down to here, and then you look for data governance. And when I come down to data governance, and you can see my tool with the thing is still working on YouTube as well. That's because this is one of the search parameters here. Looking at the top video titles that are top performing will also allow you to know what are some of the things that people want answered in such a blog. What are some of these keywords as well. And for YouTube, you don't scroll down, you just use the suggestions here when you come down to it. So we have data governance framework, best practices is coming up again, tools is coming up. Let me add checklist here, and then I'll see related keywords. Cool. So when I add checklist, I'm not getting so much stuff over here. But I think you guys get the idea. Something of that sort. So data governance on cloud, data governance, cybersecurity. I think, Chris, you're able to get an idea of where the demand for content is coming from. And the third layer of this is to go to a place like Quora. Go to a place like Quora and ask yourself, what are people asking here? Go to a place like Hacker News. Ask yourself, what are people asking on this front? And that will be able to give you an idea of that. So I don't think for data governance, you're going to get it on Hacker News. I'm probably not, but I'm highly likely going to get it on Quora. So let me jump on Quora. I hope you guys are still with me. I know my internet is a bit low. Cool. Now, yeah. So now that we've been able to do our research, I'll jump on Quora in a few. Cool. Let me look for data governance. Data governance. And why is this important? Is because once Chris is done writing the blog, he can also come on this forum here and answer the question that we actually found here. So let me search data governance. Let's see what's coming here. People are asking, what is data governance? How is it different to data management in the first place? Let me add checklist. Okay, and the best way to beat the view count on your blog, because SEO takes a while, is to come to search forums and actually post your blog as an answer. Right? How do you create a culture of data governance in a post-GDPR world? These are people asking about GDPR. Let me look for different things. So let me think of checklist. Checklist is not coming up as much, but we can look at different forums. How do you compare different data lake services? So that's things such as Snowflake. Um, I will just come here and say probably for you is that what is data governance aspect is a really big question. So if your blog does not talk about what is data governance, you should definitely talk about what is data governance here, as we can see here. If for some reason it allows you to add a paragraph that you're able to differentiate between data governance and management on one of the intro titles, you don't have to take a clean angle off of this. So here we're not just searching keywords. In fact, I'm not searching keywords on Quora. I'm just looking for ideas that people are looking for so that I know what content goes to my blog. And I'm also looking for what are some of the conversations that I can come and reply with my blog. So once Chris is done with his blog, his best thing is to come down to this question on Quora and type a small paragraph and say, so what is data governance? Come and type in something like data governance is blah, blah, blah. But do you know what? I've actually gone ahead and you can check out this blog that would also talk through about some of the ultimate data governance checklist, something of that sort. And this is able to funnel thousands of views to your blog without necessarily having SEO on your side. And the moment Google starts seeing you're getting a lot of views on your blog on the first time publish, then SEO starts kicking in. And now your keywords start coming into action because they've already seen that people are interacting with the blog. And it's not just random people interacting with your blog, it's people who are actually reading about data governance. So they're likely to spend more time on that blog post in the first place. So it means it's a win-win. The more time they spend on the blog, the more Google thinks your content is relevant, the more it starts ranking for those keywords that you optimized for in the first place. Do you guys have a question for me up to that?
Yeah, I think it's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Hadn't thought of that angle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good introduction to SEO.
Awesome. So that's all you need to know about SEO. SEO is not about hacks or taking in an SEO expert. SEO is just about understanding. We are answering questions that people want answered through our blogs. And the way Google knows whether your thing is being answered, one is the title corresponding to some of the searches people are making? That's how to know what people want. And second of all is when people actually, the first few people to land on your blog, the amount of time they're taking on your blog in reading through your content based on the words you have gives Google an indicator of whether your content is good, speaks value or not. And then the additional stuff are things such as, are you linking to other content? And the other things such as internal SEO are, and this will always cover, I'll always cover on the website, whereby after conclusion, I'll put in some of the related blogs over there. So there'll always be an internal link. It's up to you to add external links as well. And then the call to action for Chaptr, don't worry about that. That I'll always have it on the blog as well. Those are not things for you to care about so much, but you can have it on your last paragraph. So the next layer is linking. Content that's linking to more credible content is more likely to be credible content as compared to people who are writing rumor blogs on Tuko. But here we are trying to write content that's actually educational or helpful to a set number of people. So now, Chris, we already know how to change our title. I don't know how many steps you have on your checklist. So based on this blog here, this is the 3-step data governance checklist. If I was doing auditing, I know people asking questions about that, so it could actually give you an idea about that. So it could be one, the ultimate, something like you're now just adding words to make it make sense. The ultimate, the whatever, all that kind of stuff. But we already know our keywords are here. data governance checklist. That's my core keyword. And then these are just the filler words. And we don't want to overburden our keywords here, but because our focus keyword is data governance checklist, once again, it should be mentioned once, twice, or thrice, or like you could have synonyms about it across the blog. Don't force it. Let it come out naturally. Google is smarter than it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, you had to make sure you've mentioned this keyword in your text like about 15 times. But now it's about, so long as you allude to it, Google crawlers will be able to understand, because we've actually improved our machine learning algorithms to be able to understand text in one way or another. And because the title allows people to click on this, if people see that your title, the content you have actually answers your title, they're more likely to spend time on your blog over here. Okay, so that's the first layer. What's the second layer now? Second layer is now posting. Posting is very easy. Because I've done my titling right over here, this is heading to, this is a paragraph, this is all that. If you make my work easy over here because you formatted it as it's supposed to be, and the only formatting I'm asking you, don't worry about the colors, don't worry about bold, italics, and okay, in the paragraphs, you can do that. I just want to make sure there's a title tag, whether using Microsoft Word, Dropbox Paper, or Google. When I copy to the site, it will take up the format for these titles automatically. So let me come down to Chaptr, and then I'm going to come down to blogs. So posts, all posts here, just need to add new. That internet is a bit slow and our time is running out. And I'll show you how we bring it down to medium. Okay, so here now I've just copied that text very easily. I can just go ahead and create a new blog here. And this is something that I can do, or you can do automatically. If you already have access to this front because you're already an author on the site, it should be okay. You can just come out here and add new post. And when you add new post, let's talk about some of the most important things that go down to every blog that I want you guys to be well aware of. Okay. I swear this internet is a bit too slow. But in the meantime, you guys can ask me questions about any particular aspect. Okay, no questions. Still loading. I don't know how many things are running, but I'll try kill some. Let me kill Slack for now. Okay, so now I can just copy my content down here, even before the title. And when I copy my content, the format already comes through. So because my heading 2s are blue, because my heading 3s, I didn't make this heading 3. It seems like I didn't make it heading 3. Let me just do this. Actually, Chris, the best way to do this thing is not to number them. What we'll do is, the best way to be able to do that is to have something like step 1. Something like that. So step 1, step 2, step 3. I think this will work better. Yeah, and then it's a heading 3 title. So step 3. So because the edits were done on Google Docs pretty well, or whatever other tool you're using, when I import here, it's going to import pretty well. I'm not going to go through the stress of trying to assign heading titles to it. It's going to take up the formatting of the document as it's supposed to be. So there we go. This has already taken heading 3, and you guys can see it's already heading 3 and all that kind of stuff. So everything is going to be well checked. And then now I'm going to go ahead and add that really SEO optimized title of mine, which is the ultimate data science checklist. Cool. And so I'm going to place it over there. And then now I'm going to come down here, and my focus key phrase for SEO is data governance checklist. Cool. And then I can go ahead and write something small about my blog, which could be like an excerpt. So just something small about my blog. Don't worry about the slug. That's the URL link that's going to be there. So this is also really good for SEO. And I'd always advise, before you even write the first title of your blog, take the first time to actually just do a good intro here. Like something like, in this blog, we are going to chat through the the ideal data governance checklist for companies, and yeah, and this will cover things such as regulation. I think you get the idea of my point. Also, what I'd recommend is, when you have a title that's a question, something like what is data science, you can answer it exactly on this first paragraph and then bolden the answer. Why is that important? Let me come down here. I'm going to search what is data science. And when I search what is data science, you guys will see people also ask, what is data science in simpler words? The answers that Google takes in here, it's not people who answered these questions. They are passing it from blogs. And they're passing it from blogs that were able to give you a clear answer on data science on the first few words on the blog. And that's what I always recommend. Make sure you have that sort of title, because you're also optimizing for a second layer of snippet, which is, right, this sort of what people ask. So what is data science, something of that sort. So for data governance, not as much. But if your blog was called what is data governance, like my first line would be, data governance is this. Like, in short, data governance is blah, blah, blah. And then you talk about, in this blog, I'm going to break down the different pillars of data governance and all that kind of stuff, like a short 50-word thing. And this 50-word thing is what you can summarize to a meta description. And a meta description here is, in this blog, so yeah, what here I want to just write something very short. So what are the key steps for data governance, right, in 2022, like that. Adding the year at the end of the thing makes your content relevant, so it's also likely to rank higher. Once again, these are statistics from SEO. So what are the key steps for data governance in 2022? In this blog, we give you a detailed data governance checklist, yeah, for your company, something of that sort. So as soon as it turns green, it means it's okay. But the main point here is the meta description should contain all words in the focus key phrase. And I'm done with the SEO bit. My content is right, my title is right, I'm done with the content bit. When I come down to post, the only thing I want to add over here is, you can add a category. So Chris, I don't know what category this is. This is data science, right? Let me see, based on the categories we have, that is data science. And then let's add tags. You don't have to for now. Tags are things I can optimize over time, but something you should definitely add is a featured image. Always add a featured image. It's what creates the blog card, whether it's on Medium, whether it's on our website. That blog card is pegged on this featured image, so I'll create that. And now I have a proper blog, and I can click on the publish button. I can click on save draft. And so long as you have a draft on the website, I'll be able to come and see it, and it's going to be okay. So Chris, you don't have to go through a lot of stress. You can just come and import your content on this sort of dummy blog I've created for you. So what's the next step now? The next step is, let's go to Medium. How do I import my blog to Medium? Do I have to copy paste again? And the answer is no. You don't have to copy paste again on Medium, because Medium has a direct link to any blog out there that adds sort of content very, very fast. So when I come down here, where do you write stories on Medium? Okay, I think I went to our publication. Okay, so let me write a story. Okay, so when I come to write a story at the top right, not there, I think I'm wrong here. There's a way to import a story. Let me go to stories. And then there's this button to import a story. And the import a story button is very easy. As soon as you publish your blog on the Chaptr website, all you have to do is put the blog link over here, and it's going to take the blog as it is, with the featured image, with the text, with the SEO structure, fully to Medium. And this makes life really easy. So let me take an example of a blog here that I want. Ultimate Data Science Roadmap. I think I've not imported the content here, but let me see. I think it's published. So let me copy link, and then I'll come down here and I'll just add that automatically. And then when I import, my story will automatically come here. So the question is, why should we do this and not copy paste content again? When you copy paste content again, the two blogs will be competing for the same search ranking, and they won't have a direct link between them. By doing this, Medium is able to create a canonical link between the two blogs. So when Google is ranking them, it will always know which one to show first so that they're not competing for the same views. You don't want your blogs to compete for the same views. It's going to alter your SEO. But this creates that sort of automatic canonical link in the backend that will give one blog that sort of copy version. So it's able to solve the SEO problem of us trying to declare canonical links without having to do that manually. And now let me see my story. And my story is well imported here, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. The thing that's not working, you always need to vet, is there was a video over here that's gone. So this entire blog was based on a video. And now I can click on publish. When you click on publish, if you guys already authors to the publication, you can send to that particular publication. So select and continue, and you're well set. So that's well set. So it's been sent to the publication, so I can approve and do that. And I should add all of you guys as authors to the publication. Just send me your Medium link. So that has been a very lengthy intro to blogs. I really wanted you guys to be versed with, because it's going to be quite important. I don't think Medium is doing video embeds pretty well. So just keep that in mind, because the video I had here has not embedded well, but that does well in, yeah. So once your blog is on Medium, if you want to submit to additional Medium publications such as Towards Data Science, it's very easy to submit. Any publication that's on Medium just wants you to submit the link to your Medium article. So keep that in mind. So now I can get back to something like Towards Data Science, and they'll always share the instructions with you. Towards Data Science. It's only in Hackanoon where you have to copy paste your content again, but so long as you're submitting to another publication on Medium, and I'll always recommend what publication for you when you suggest your blogs. These people will have this article here on saying how you can contribute. And the best way to contribute is, yeah, just read the instructions here, but they'll just want you to submit your Medium link. They'll read through it to make sure you're not just trying to make a PR move for yourself, and that it's actually useful. And if it actually goes through their vetting process, they'll include your story in the publication. So it's a very easy thing. They give you submission rules and all that kind of stuff. Very easy. So long as your blog is aligned with the topic, you should go through the vetting process well. So long as you're not promoting your own personal sales on the blog and not helping people with actual content, you should do pretty well. But always read the guidelines. In other places, such as CSS Tricks, for someone like Cabral, who might be doing content on web development, the rules are different. These people want you to submit it as a Dropbox paper. Do it how they want it to. All you're doing is just copy pasting your content onto a Dropbox paper thing and then submitting it to them, and then they're able to vet, and it's going to be well okay as well. And if they're asking you whether you've published it anywhere else, always say the truth, because it's able to help them work on the canonical links for SEO at the end of the day. Okay, so this guys also allow you to contribute. I don't know where I've forgotten, but there's always a page for contributions. Probably on the footer, I'll be able to find it. Cool. Pretty much all major blogs right now with 100,000 views allow you to contribute. Not all your blogs will get listed, but one or two of your best blogs, when they get listed, they'll get a lot of views. And that to us will help us at Chaptr. And for you, it's going to help you with your profile if you're trying to start building yourself to become a thought leader in the industry. Okay, that's it from me, unless there's any additional questions. Okay, no final questions. The time is up. Let's go to the next thing. Dropbox paper. I recommend this for anyone. Please try it out and you'll see why. At least for your blogs. Just use whatever is easy for you. But if you ever have a chance to try out Dropbox Paper, you really should. Partly because more blogs will be asking you to submit drafts to them. The ones that are not on Medium are through Dropbox Paper because it makes it easy to import blogs. This you can see it allows for gallery imports. It allows for adding videos. So it works as if it's an actual blog page on the actual website. So it's a really good way to do blogs, at least I'd say. There's more uses to it, but it's really captured the blogging market pretty well because it gives you the full functionality of Markdown without using Markdown. Okay, so let me give that a stop. I'll just tell you, try out Dropbox Paper in your free time and see whether it's something that you'd love to use for your blogs or your documents moving forward. But I believe you already have Dropbox on your computer. Okay, that was a bit long. Apologies for that. I'll go ahead and stop this video now. And now we can